What's going on? What's happening? Pardon my presence YouTube channel. I know my voice is clear and everything is good. Look. I want to discuss something very serious right now. And that is what seems to be the hot topic that everyone's talking about, and that is bonnets. Now, as a man, I really don't care what women do, per se. I don't really care to argue about women's fashion. However, well, before I go there, it's not my business to get into the battles of what women should wear, per se. However, as a man, it is my business to tell a woman what I like, to tell a woman what I'm attracted to tell a woman what my preferences are, to tell a woman how or when or in what condition I will walk out of the house, either lock in step with you, have my arms around you, hold in your hand. In those scenarios, I have a right to say how you should be presented with me. And for the record, no, I don't want you having a bonnet on your head. And this doesn't just go for black women. This goes for any type of woman, because I've dated other races before, and I remember a woman that I was dating, she decided to put on a bandana and wanted to go to a store and, run some errands. And I told her ass to take that shit off of your head. And I understand why she did it, because she doesn't want to take care of her hair. The hair is messed up from the night before, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, so her hair is messed up. She don't want to comb her hair. She don't want to get that shit looking proper. She just wants to hide it and leave the house. No. Listen, there's certain things that you must do when you leave the house. Or better yet, there's certain things you must know when you leave the house. Number one is that you're being judged. That you're out in public and people are watching you. And you must always have the best representation of yourselves in public. Why? Because you don't know who you're going to run into. It could be a coworker. It could be a client. Your next boyfriend. A family member, a hater, your competitor. You don't know who you're going to run into out there. Your ex. So whenever you step outside of your house, out of your comfort zone, you always put on the best face possible. Unless you're like Eminem and you just don't give a fuck, whatever the case may be. Or maybe you're depressed. Whatever the case may be. You want to act like you're, what's the word? Is it ghetto is the word? Or is the word ratchet? Or is the word, whatever the word is. You don't want to leave your house in the best position, the best condition. So this is what people do. But that's not how you should leave your house. If you want to do that inside of your house, be my guest, whatever the case may be. But outdoors, be presentable. Understand that you have a last name and you are representation of your family. And if you want to represent your family properly, then there's certain things that you have to do. Now, I'm going on a tangent, but I want to reel it back into something, okay? Because Monique decided to put out a public statement about bonnets and how she was at an airport and didn't like what she saw. Too many young black women were wearing bonnets, and it didn't look presentable to her. She felt those things are to be worn in the house, not when you're out in public being seen. She mentioned pride, and how if you go out in that type of attire, it's viewed as not having pride in your appearance. And then Kevin Samuels had a couple of shows about the bonnet, and it's been a reoccurring theme because a lot of women have come on to a show calling in and they're appearing in bonnets. And for whatever reason, it seems like the bonnet is attached to or is synonymous with a black woman with an attitude. Because whenever a black woman calls into a show and has a bonnet on, it never is a cordial conversation. There's always an issue. There's always back talk. There's always an argument. There's always something that happens that turns into a negative moment that becomes viral, and his numbers go up. The views go up. The subs go up. So it's something that we see a lot. So these conversations are being had as to why black women are wearing bonnets so much. That's for y'all to let us know. Why is the bonnet such a necessary accessory? And there's also an argument that men used to wear do-rags outside. Now, do-rags, the whole purpose of do-rags is to get the waves, right? The 360 waves to have your hair down patted. It holds in or holds down your hair and locks in moisture, whatever the case may be, and you end up with waves. But you never were supposed to go outside in them. It was supposed to be something that you wear when you go to bed, something that you wore in the house, and then when you go outside, you rock the waves. But somewhere along the line, it became a fashion statement. People were rocking do-rags all over the place. I used to rock one. But then, that was what, back in the 90s, early 2000s. But then things changed. We stopped doing that. When we go outside, we don't have the do-rag. We keep it in the house. We understood the negative connotation that comes from wearing it. Or it has become out of style. And maybe that's the problem, because there could be arguments as to why wearing a bonnet makes sense. To protect your hair, to lock in the moisture, to, prep it. All of that stuff is supposed to be done indoors, inside the house, not for when you're going outside. But it seems that women are wearing the bonnets outside as a fashion statement. And a lot of it has to do with black celebs who are on social media. And again, social media being the devil and being the window to everyone's personal business, where we get a sneak peek as to what someone does indoors, behind closed doors. And we're seeing people like Tammy Romaine in a bonnet. We're seeing people like Snoop Dogg wearing the scarf. A bunch of other celebs wearing these things, doing skits, going viral on the internet. And now people have adapted what is supposed to be a utility, or an accessory that serves a purpose, has now become a fashion statement. It's like a hat. Nowadays, you could probably get a New York Yankees insignia on a bonnet. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just pointing out the fact that now it's a fashion statement. It has nothing to do with what the initial purpose was. And when people like Monique speak out, and she spoke out with love and compassion and sincerity, and with kid gloves, and people bashed her, women bashed her. When Kevin Samuels speaks to women about these same issues, albeit a heavy-handed tone maybe, a more direct tone, you bash him, you hate on him, you call him names, you question his sexuality. So who would you listen to? Because Isla Van Zandt said, black women are out of order. So no one's listening to her. A woman. Shirazad Ali. She doesn't even get much exposure. She doesn't get much airtime or publicity. Her voice is not heard about how women should behave or act or interact with their men. So with all these women who are coming out saying that there's a problem, that there is a out of order attitude, These are your seniors. And you're not listening to them. So then who are you listening to? Because it seems to be the only people that these women are listening to, it seems to be City Girls and Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. So in other words, in that ilk of thinking, in that ilk of imagery, toxic femininity, or the masculine female, the female that doesn't give a fuck, it seems like that is what people are looking to emulate and follow. Back in the day, I'm an older cat, right? So back in the day, I remember in university, we used to have early tests or exams. And I remember going to the exams and we'd see these white girls coming to the exams in their PJs, their flannel pants, and their white t-shirts, or their camisole, what you want to call it, or wife beater, whatever you want to call it, that women wear. Hair not done up, no makeup, wearing slippers, coming in to the auditorium to do their exam. And as a black guy, I used to see that, and I used to look at my other fellow black men. There weren't that many in economics, but we were there. And we used to look at these girls like, yo, what's wrong with these white girls? Then I look to the other side and I see my fellow black women, my fellow black ladies, my fellow black girls in the auditorium or around campus. And we used to crack jokes. Yo, what's wrong with these white girls coming to class in their pajamas? They're out of order in their slippers. That was a thing. This was back in the early 2000s. We used to laugh at them. They were out of order, is what we used to say. Who raised them, is what we used to say. And it wasn't just black men. It was black men and women who are partaking in these jokes, because they knew when you left your house properly, in the proper attire, looking like you're going out, like you belong to somebody. We all knew that. Do y'all remember back in, I think in the 80s or the 90s, when in the movies, when they wanted to depict a low-class white female, what would they do? It could be a trailer trash white female, but just a low-class, ignorant white woman. How would they depict them? Rollers in their hair? They have a robe on? Smoking a cigarette? Out and about, looking disheveled? That was the way of depicting a low-class white woman. Do you guys remember that? That was the prototype. You knew when you saw a white woman with the rollers in their hair, they might be chewing gum, smoking a cigarette, talking all loud. That was the white woman you would avoid. And that was the way of depicting a low-class white woman. The equivalent today of a low-class black woman is the black woman with the bonnet outside, with the slippers. Am I right or am I wrong? Somehow we've become that. I remember, and one thing I want to point out, when you go to third world countries, okay, they're not that wealthy. A lot of the citizens don't have much. But when they leave their house, their pants are creased. The white shirts are starched. Walking along the red brick sand, walk along the dust. But their clothes were always clean, shirt tucked in, suits, beautiful colors and arrangements. They took pride in their appearance and how they showed up. They might not have much, but they had pride in how they looked and how they presented themselves. So how is it that as time moves on, human beings become smarter, quote unquote, they're supposed to be. Technology advances. We learn a lot more about the brain, psychology. Women are working, making more money than ever before. And for some reason, now black women, or maybe I should say black girls, so young girls, maybe under 30, have regressed into this thinking that, yes, I could come out in my flannel PJs, in my house shoes or slippers, in my wife beater, the bra strap showing, and my bonnet on. Drop off my kids at school looking this way. Go to the grocery store looking this way. Going all over looking that way. What happened? How did the cultures not just clash, but how did they cross over to the point where now black women are doing what white women did 20 years ago? It's odd, is all I'm saying. It's odd. So I'm gonna leave it like this, because this is a conversation that black women really need to hold amongst themselves, and they need to explain what is the whole purpose of the bonnet and why it's important to fight for the right to wear a bonnet outside while you go around running your errands. And yes, I understand that men also have presentability issues as well too. Pull up your pants. I don't want to see your drawers. You have a belt on. Why is your pants sagging that low? So all of those things need to be done with. Who do you belong to? Who is your father? Who is your mother? And why are they letting you leave the house looking the way you look? And why is it that we have adopted certain mindsets that we once used to laugh at? Let me know how you feel about this subject. In the grand scheme of things, it is trivial, but you do have to understand that imagery means a lot. Your appearance is the first thing someone sees about you, and they will judge you on your appearance alone. We know that. So protect your image, protect your appearance. It's the one thing that you have complete control over. No one else could tell you how to show up. But they can tell you what they think about you. And they can impose on you their judgment. And they can treat you in the same vein of how they feel you are treating yourself. And that's all I'm going to say about this subject. Let me know how you feel. Let's talk about this. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Until next time, pardon my presence. Peace.